You can send sound faster and farther over a taut wire with some cups at the ends than you can through the air. Kids call these tin can telephones. In the 19th century, some of these devices could send conversations as far as half a mile and even around corners. After the discovery of practical uses for electricity in the late 1800s, the idea was applied to sending conversations along a wire by transforming the sound vibrations to electricity and then back again at the other end. Although several conversations on separate circuits could travel on one wire, each conversation used the whole circuit until both ends hung up. This usually wasn't a problem because people are speaking most of the time in the telephone conversation. Everyone wanted a telephone, and wires spread all over the place. This kind of circuit-switched communication over a wire, called a landline, remained the primary way we communicated at a distance into the 1970s, and many places still use them. At the end of the 19th century, Marconi invented wireless transmission, which used electromagnetic waves generated by an electrical current to send messages through the air. Turning sound into electrical signals, then into electromagnetic waves, led to the radio. Radios were a great one-way source of information and entertainment, but in the 1930s, two-way radios were invented. The first two-way radios weighed many pounds, and you could only send a message in one direction at a time. But engineers weren't deterred. They kept working on the idea, improving the range by using transmission towers and making the device smaller and capable of carrying conversations in both directions at the same time. These wireless telephones assigned a circuit to each conversation, just like the landlines. Meanwhile, beginning in the 1960s, something else big was happening. Individual computers were being linked together via cables so they could send data back and forth. The network grew rapidly over the next 40 years and came to be called the Internet. Right away, computer scientists realized that the way data was being sent on telephones, either landlines or cell phones, just wasn't going to work for the Internet. Computer data was usually sent in bursts rather than continuously. Keeping a circuit open for these transmissions would be extremely wasteful. But they had a brilliant solution. Why not cut up the data into pieces, number them, and send them through the network individually, each finding its best path where there was unused space, and getting reassembled at the other end? This scheme was called packet switching, and greatly increased the amount of data that could be sent through a network. It was applied to both wired and Wi-Fi networks. As more people began using cell phones, the ability of the network to handle cellular data was strained. Cell phone engineers looked at the packet switching model and realized they needed to make the transition away from circuit switching. 3G, or third generation cellular, starting around 2000, was the first generation of cell phones using a Wi-Fi-like packet switching model. 4G LTE, or fourth generation long-term evolution, used the Internet routing protocol and completed the transition. 5G, or fifth generation cellular, will further increase the amount of data that can be sent over the network due to other improvements. Cell phones today are very different from telephones a generation ago. They are like little mobile computers connected similarly to Wi-Fi that can go anywhere and do almost anything. Their manufacturers hope they will be so useful that you won't be able to live without them. You can find out more about cellular versus Wi-Fi, wireless transmission, 5G, and packet switching in our videos listed in the description below. And don't forget to like and subscribe.